Hello everyone, it's Jasmine and I am very excited about today's video because Gerda Steiner Designs asked me to do a guest spot for them designing. So they sent me this adorable Penguins Valentine stamp set. So we are going to get started and just jump right in. I've got some alcohol ink cardstock and we're going to do an alcohol ink background. So this is a very simple and easy to do technique. You can make several of these backgrounds at the same time. And you basically just kind of sprinkle the ink down on a nonstick surface, something that's not going to absorb the ink. So I'm using a craft mat. And then you're going to want glossy cardstock to kind of dip it in and swirl it around a little bit, and then you get lots of cool different textures. So that's just showing real quickly the 6 that I did. And then we're going to get into building our shaker. So what I've done is I've taken 2 stitched rectangle dies and cut out a frame from some white glitter cardstock by Doodlebug. And then I'm using some 1/8 inch wide score tape, or Be Creative tape, depends on where you're buying it, what it's called, to make my acetate window. So I've got some 5x6 Hero Arts acetate that I've put down on my panel, and then I'm going to use my longer scissors to trim that off. I find if you're using long scissors versus short ones, you get a cleaner cut, and it's also straighter. So I've got some foam tape there, and that's 3M foam tape that I have doubled up, and then I will cut that into thirds. And you can buy this in different widths on a big roll or a little one. I have 3/4 inch wide and I have 1/2 inch wide, and I buy mine at Amazon because it's just the most cost-effective way. And I buy the big mama rolls of this. So it lasts a long time and I get a lot out of it. So when you're building a shaker that you're going to have smaller pieces in, like glitter especially, you want to make sure that you have sealed all of your joints. So that foam tape really needs to butt up snugly together. If you're using things like sequins or beads that are a little bit bigger, it's not as much of a risk, but I still make sure it's nice and flush. And this stuff is really easy to cut with scissors. You get a pretty even cut if you're careful. So I'm finishing up the frame on that. And you don't have to make this too thick, you just want to make it thick enough to give the contents room to move around. So there's the acetate panels that I buy. I get them from Allen Hudson. And it's like $4 for a pack of 20 pre-cut sheets. So it makes it really easy. Then I've got my powder tool that I'm running along the edges of the foam tape so that it cuts down on static and also cuts down on any residual stickiness. So here is the stamp set that I'm using. It's Valentine Penguins, and I've got some Bristol smooth cardstock, and I'm going to end up fussy cutting these penguins out. So I just stamped in the corner using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink, because I'm going to Copic color these little guys. And something to kind of keep in mind is when you're using Bristol Smooth, it doesn't absorb right away, which makes it really easy to ink blend on and to use Copic markers with, because the ink kind of sits on the top a little bit. So when you have to stamp several layers, like I do sometimes, you want to give it a minute to dry, and not, overnight or anything, just like 5 or 10 minutes, so that the ink dries and then you won't get any smearing with your Copics. If you're only having to stamp once, you don't have to worry about it. It's when you have to put 2 or 3 layers of ink down with the image is when it becomes something to be aware of. So I'm using my Copic markers, and I'm using C6, C8, and C9. And you've noticed in the video I've taken both caps off, and that's just to even out the pressure inside the barrel so that I don't get any leakage from the nib. So I laid down my lightest color first over all of the areas that would be black, and I'm not using black so that I can get some tones and some shading in it, but you could use black if you wanted to. It's kind of completely up to you. And then I go into C8 and then C9 and then back again, final layer of C6 just to blend everything out and to make sure I don't have any weird marks from the markers. And these are little images, so they're really easy to color, and you don't need 3 shades of dark gray to color these. You could use 2 easily, or just use 1 and lay it down in layers. So if you only have a C6, for example, lay it down in layers so that the ink layer is on top of itself and gets a little darker with each layer. And then I'm using 2 orangey yellow tones, a C17 and a YR15, not C17, Y17, and YR15 to do their little feet and their beaks. So here's my alcohol ink panel that I did in the very beginning of the video. And these dry, the alcohol ink panels dry just about instantly. So you set them aside and they're dry within a minute tops. And I'm using archival ink to stamp this just so it doesn't get absorbed into the alcohol ink. This is a nice crisp black ink and it will show up against just about anything. And I wanted to kind of pull the black from the penguins into the background a little bit, and that's why I chose black for the little hearts. And the sentiment and the hearts are both with the penguin stamp set. So here I'm going to attach my alcohol ink background to my card base. And the card base is 8.5 by 11 sheet of cream cardstock, cut down the middle long ways so it becomes 4.25 by 11, and then folded in half. So it's a top folding card base. And then I've got some score tape to attach that down. And I'm using 4 different things for my shaker elements. I've got some little things, jewels in tangerine and lemon, so it's a nice bright orange and yellow to pull in the background colors. And then I've got, let's see, what are they called? Deep fuchsia and lily white sequin mixes, also from Little Things. And I will put a link in the blog post so you can go over to her website and find all of her goodies. And even if she doesn't have these specific mixes, she'll have something just as pretty. She changes it up a lot, but she's always got gorgeous stuff. So I put my shaker bits in the middle, and then I kind of wiggle the cardstock just a little bit real gently to kind of flatten out the pile so that when I put my topper on, it doesn't get stuck in the middle. Just kind of wiggle that around a little bit and get it even. And then remove the green backing paper from the foam tape. And then our shaker panel will be done. And you don't want to overfill this either because you want to make sure that those shaker bits have plenty of room to move around. So I'm using some score tape on the back of my penguins that I have fussy cut out. And then I will stick those on the bottom left-hand corner on top of the frame. So kind of hanging out there. And that completes the card for today. So let me know what you think. And thank you to Gerda Steiner Designs for inviting me to guest design for them. These were so much fun to play with. And I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this stamp set. So we will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting and subscribing. And have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.